All right, guys, we're back here. It looks like Trump is going to go live here in just a minute. I'm just going to be alerting our network here. Now, I've been hearing that the announcement is going to be something about changing. It's a military type thing that's happening right now, where Xi Jinping is doing his military parade today, and I think Trump is, and there's all kinds of new weapons they're demonstrating. In fact, some kind of laser weapon, and I think Trump is trying to preempt that show by talking about a change in manufacturing of certain weapons, I think, from, if I'm not mistaken, if what I read was correct. I'll get into that in just a moment. Let me just make sure I've got everybody on the same page here. Let me let everybody know. It should be happening any minute here, so just stay tuned here. This is just, let me get everybody on the same page here. We just had our devotional. It was really great. Oh man, I'm just thanking God for the peace of the Lord in the midst of all this chaos. When you got the presence of God, that's all you need. Amen. That's all you need. You know, you can have all kinds of things if you don't have peace in the heart. You're of all men to be pitied. What does it say? Better a morsel of bread with love therein than a great feast and strife. You could have all the things in this world. If you got strife in your heart and in your environment, there's nothing that can. You'd be better off being poor and having peace in your heart and love in your heart. I mean, why would you want a bunch of unrest that's going to destroy you? It really, because it's a prelude to hell. That's really what that kind of lifestyle is. It's just God is telling you, by having everything that you think you need and then realizing that it's nothing that is going to satisfy your soul. And ultimately it's going to be an empty sieve, an empty cistern that ultimately does not satisfy. But someone that doesn't have everything, they're content with what they have. They've got peace, they've got joy, they've got the Lord, the Holy Spirit. They have everything to look forward to. Amen. How many of you guys can say amen to that? All right, so what's going on here? Let me get all this. Okay, he's expected to announce the relocation of the headquarters for the U.S. Space Command from Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado, to Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. Alabama. So this is going to be the big announcement? Is this it? There's got to be something more than that. There's got to be something more than that. Come on. What else is it? There's some kind of a show here. I'm sure there's going to dog and pony show here. People are like, why are you so negative, Robert? I know. But I think there's a lot more going on than people realize here, is all I'm saying. A lot more than meets the eye. All right, so here we go. Let's see what's going on here. Now, we got just a prelude to something that's going to be happening. Okay, this is the Fox News coverage. We'll have that up. We've got a few different feeds right now, and we got the Preacher's Power. That is the source of my strength and wisdom right there. The doctrines and the covenant understanding, our connection to the Lord Most High and His kingdom. And if you want to be a part of that kingdom, all you have to do is call upon His name, seek His face while He may be found. For the night is coming when no man can work. You got only a certain amount of time, and God knows that when that clock ticks to the last moment, in your life. So you better make sure that you don't presume upon God in any way. And don't put him off when he's calling you. You better just make your decisions and do it with a holy fervor and the fear of the Lord. Holy fear. What did Noah do? He built an ark in holy fear. He knew what was coming. And he built an ark in holy fear, it says. And so the same for you. You're told, hey, this city's going to be destroyed. Get you and your wife and get out. And don't look back. Why? If you look back, why should you not look back? Because that means you're still attached. Even if you're on your way out and you look back, it's not a good thing. Look what happened to his wife. She turned to stone. So don't look back. Anyone who puts their hand to the plow and looks back is not worthy of me, Jesus said. So if you're going to be doing the work of the Lord, and you're going to be plowing the field and tilling up the soil for the kingdom, and you've got a work to accomplish, and God calls you to it, don't look back. Don't sit there and be longing to go back to Egypt when you've been called to be free. You've been called to be free. Why are you longing to go back? And don't say it's too hard and it's too difficult and God is a killjoy and he just wants me to lose everything. No, he wants you to gain heaven. He wants you to gain everything. Life, everything is included in that package. Amen. So I just got out of preaching. That's why I got a preaching. I'm in preaching mode right now still. I told everybody, we'll be preaching over there, so just go over and hang out, and we'll preach. Well, let's see. What do you think is going to happen here? People are trying to figure out what's going on and what he's about to talk about. People are anxious. I'm looking at some of the comments. We could be on the precipice of war with Venezuela. That could and I'm expecting something very big to go down in the next day or two with Venezuela. I'll be surprised if nothing happens. But all the stuff that's happening right now with India and China and Russia. Did you see how they look like all bros over there? Look what happened to India. We lost India. The United States has no real relationship on that level that we had that was keeping them separated from, collaborating with our enemies. Now you got India just basically, dissing the U.S. That's absolutely crazy. And that's a huge trading partner that we would probably see as being replaced, especially if we're in a time of war with, economic warfare, at least with China, that would replace what we've lost with China. India is a very big manufacturing, hub, and we would need things that would come from China, from India, if we didn't have relationships. And everything is going bad right now. I'm telling you guys, people don't realize this, but Trump talks really a good talk. He talks up. He always is praising everything that he's doing. That says, wants everybody to think that everything's going well. And everything is swell. But really, when you really look at the numbers and you really look, but it's fake news. Don't look at those. That's fake news. All you people out there that are trying to talk about Epstein, I don't want you to be my supporters anymore. Get out of here. I don't care. And you're just trying to be negative. That's the mindset. If you can't look at reality because it's bad for the feelings of others, oh, well, you're talking about reality. Well, you got cancer. Well, don't say that. That's negative. Don't tell me I got cancer. That's negative. I don't want to hear that. Don't tell anybody that. The whole country is dying of cancer. It's starting to metastasize. Well, don't say anything. That's negative. We're the greatest and hottest nation in the world. We're hot, hot, hot. Don't you want to hear that? You don't want to hear the truth, do you? Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. We're hot, hot, hot because we're on fire. That's why we're hot, hot, hot. That's the reality. And we're burning up. And now people are starting to wake up. MAGA's starting to wake up. There's all kinds of chaos going on in MAGA land. Well, that's just a sign because there's some smart people in MAGA that are finally figuring it out. All the ones that aren't seeing, that just want to believe lies, are going along with it still. This is the other side of the preaching that you get. This is the anointing too. Don't worry. This is still the anointing. This is still the anointing. Yes, it is. It is the anointing. The anointed one is here. The Lord is coming back, by the way. And the anointed one is not Donald Trump. I just want you all to know out there, especially all of you Seven Mountain Mandate Christians out there, I say that in quotes, that is riding the beast. If you're riding the beast, he is not the anointed one. All right, and if he is anointed, he's anointed not by the Lord. He's not anointed by the Lord. Now, the Lord allows him to be in this position, and this is a part of destiny. This is a part of the divine facilitation of divine providence for those who are his own. This has nothing to do with the world. God allows people, it turns them over to whatever they want. You know, if God gives you what you want, that could be a bad thing. You know that? Have you ever thought about that? You know, that if you just keep, now, I was thinking of people like, it's so funny, as I was thinking about Jim Carrey, Jim Carrey, the comedian. And I remember listening to his interview one time. He talked about how he prayed to the universe. He prayed to the universe that he wanted $1 million. And he just believed that he was going to get $1 million, that the universe was going to give him. He was going to, it was a part of his spirituality that he felt he was connecting himself to making this pact, probably with the devil, but that he gained everything that he wanted. And he had this check that he had in his wallet from when he was poor, basically living on the street, living in a car, living in some kind of, camper or something. And he pulls out his wallet and he has this old, wrinkled up, and it could have been a joke because, he's always joking, but he's got this old, wrinkled up, check that he wrote to himself for $1 million. He's going to make $1 million. And then eventually that came to pass when he made the money. But he's got everything. And he's a very sad person. When you really, and I know he's gone through some spiritual things here. And he's got a kind of a philosophy of kind of a, and people say he's a Christian, that he turned to Christianity, but I don't think so. I think that he's got a mishmash of a bunch of different spiritual beliefs that have kind of evolved, I think. But, who knows where he's at right at the moment. I don't follow him, but. All right, so listen to this. So here's some breaking news. Trump says that he's very disappointed in Putin. We will be doing something soon. Oh, wow. So that was just coming out. What is this one? Because it is prime time for Americans at 9 p.m., China has purposely scheduled the parade at 9 a.m. Beijing time. Oh, really? They want to make a statement. So they're basically doing this at our time, 9 p.m., and they're doing their parade at 9 a.m. in Beijing, because at that time it's 9 p.m. here. Let's see here. Let's go back over here. It says Iranian locals in Tehran report Iranian air defense systems are active over the city. This could be an exercise, they said, or there could be something else going on, but they don't know. They're saying that the air defenses are active over Tehran. Now, like I said, this could be an exercise, but if not, then maybe something's actually happening coinciding with Trump's announcement. Are you kidding me? Let's see what else we got here. Trump is to conduct a military flyover of the White House. And Trump says he's very okay. So Iranian. Okay, so yeah, I've got all that. Okay, what else we got here? Here's something else. Okay, so it's at 11 a.m. The flyover is going to be at 11 a.m. September 3rd. Now, why does it say September 3rd? I thought the flyover was today. I guess the flyover is tomorrow. It says the U.S. military will conduct a flyover in the NCR over the White House on Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, at 9 a.m. I thought it was today. No? All right, this is Trump responding to Putin being very disappointed. This is what they're saying now. Thousands of people are dying. This is, I guess, what Trump said. Thousands of people are dying. Not Americans. Why is this so loud? Holy cow. Turn this down here, sorry. Thousands of people are dying. Not Americans, but Russians, Ukrainians. And why did he have to say that not Americans? That's weird that he would do that, that he would say, hey, it's not Americans that are dying, it's you guys that are dying. We're not dying. That's not good. I don't like that. That doesn't sound good at all. You know, this to me is a pride. This kind of arrogant pridefulness is very dangerous. You know, have you ever heard that saying in this scripture? Pride comes before a fall, and a haughty spirit before destruction. You know, you stiffen your neck often, and it will be broken without remedy. He that stiffens his neck often will be broken, and that without remedy. Okay, so I really think that America's really stiffened their necks. We have become so hard-hearted and so prideful and arrogant, and I think God is going to give us a whipping we will not forget. I just feel that America's on the verge of a big whipping. And it could be worse. Who knows if it's going to be worse? Maybe there's something much worse coming. I pray that it's just. But he goes on. He goes on to say Ukrainians and thousands. He says so. It's not Russians it's just Russians and Ukrainians that are dying, not Americans, and thousands of them are dying. And this is a senseless war that would never have happened if I were president. I just always hear him sounding like he's whining, like a little baby. If I were president, this would not have happened. And it bothers me even more because the election was completely rigged, and it is a disgrace. And it's a disgrace. We'll see what happens, but I am very disappointed in President Putin. I can say this, and we will do something to help people live. This is not about Ukraine. This is about helping people live. Every week, 7,000 people die, mostly soldiers. Well, then why are you sending all kinds of missiles into Ukraine? Trump could end this. All they have to do is stop sending weapons and stop sending support and aid and to Ukraine, and basically just, you know, we needed to just stop what was happening there. Now, obviously, Russia is not going to come out of this deal, out of this losing. They're not going to. They want something out of all this. I mean, they lost a lot going into this war, and I'm sure the Ukrainians did too. But there's something going on in Ukraine, huge corruption that's been going on for quite some time, that I'm sure the Americans have been a part of. And we know there's a lot going on there. That's been going on there for quite some time. Okay, I'm looking at something else here. Hold on. Alex Jones goes off on Owen Schroyer after his Infowars resignation, calling him a snake and a backstabber. Oh my gosh. You gotta be kidding me. Based on what people are saying, there were obvious disagreements about AI, Trump, and Israel. Well, that's true because Alex Jones is compromised. Alex Jones, I told you he has gone off the rails. Alex Jones has gone off the rails. I told everybody that months and months ago. I said Alex Jones is compromised. He's off the rails. He's very out of sync, out of touch with what's going on right now. And now he's freaking out because he's losing everything. And this is my dream. I told you guys about the dream I had about Alex Jones. He's got to just chill out, and he shouldn't have taken the bait with the whole Trump Elon thing. He took the bait. And now look where he's at. Based on what people are saying, there were obvious disagreements about AI, Trump, and Israel, and Alex has chastised Owen for like 10 minutes live on air about Trump not too long ago. Oh, you're kidding. Infowars is done. Like I said, Infowars, I saw locks coming on. They were shutting down. This is it. He's lost it. Listen to Alex.
He would
listen to what Alex is saying here. Let's see. Let's see how bad he's lost it here. As soon as it starts, we'll go right to it. Don't worry, we're not going to miss anything.
Try to control the show. He would whatever. Total lie. And then as all the articles come out, and Jones censored Schroyer on Trump criticism and Israel. So let's see if Schroyer comes out and apologizes for you. Oh, no, he's going to say, I didn't really exactly say that. No, you couched each statement perfectly thought out and looking down at your notes to be able to lie about us and try to hurt this organization for your benefit so you could be a hero. You are a snake. You are a rat. You are a fraud. You are a backstabber. You are a handbiter. You are a disgrace. And let me say something else about you. Even before he went to prison for 4 months, and we did the crowdfunding, raised, fought everything for him, all that, he stopped talking to the crew very much and didn't have a good attitude, was pissed off all the time. And then it got to where he'd show up right before the show, wouldn't even talk to the crew. He'd walk by me and say something like, just start laughing at me. Like, again, I'm not in junior high, so it didn't hurt me at that level. It hurt me that he was just like, yeah, I heard you. Yes. Oh, and we can go further. When the Onion, backed by Bloomberg, did the fraudulent auction and got caught in all of that back in November, on November 13th, and I said, we're not leaving. This is a fraud. I'm filing emergency motion. The judge found it to be a fraud. Got a 2-day hearing on all that. Owen just left and just called the producer and said, I'm done. I quit. Even though we have a backup studio, I told everybody, hey, it's going to be fine. We have new backers, all this stuff. If we get shut down, he's like, I'm gone. Starts announcing, is this the time? Because Infowars is being shut down, he thinks. Announce his new network and funding and all this stuff. And then we're back the next day, and Owen just shows back up and does his show and walks in and just looks at me with hatred and like slinks in there, just because he really wanted me to fire him so he could be a victim. And I confided just in a few of the producers. I said, he wants to be a victim. I said, I'm going to have love and say prayers for him that he gets better. I'll be really nice to him, give him extra bonuses. Maybe he'll pull out of it. I tried to talk to him. He's never wanted to talk to me. And I said, he's going to stab me in the back. He's a new person. And I don't know if it's his personal life. I don't know if it's stuff he's smoking. But I've seen a lot of people get paranoid, that smoke pot and go nuts. But I can just tell you this right now, that I'm not here to be shit on or stabbed in the back. This crew isn't your punching bag, and we did nothing to you but be loyal. And your little 5-hour extravaganza of little puppy dog that doesn't know why, and he just wanted to come back and shake my hand and be nice, and then I kind of censored him and said, no, you don't need to host your show. You want to hear what he said in the phone call to me? I didn't record it. I was in the pool with my 8-year-old daughter playing with her Barbie dolls at whatever it was, 4 o'clock yesterday. You know, a rare.
All right, so it's both of them. You know, I'm just going to say this. My whole take on everything that's going on in Infowars, Schroyer, he's a part of it. You know, he's been a part of this, and it's a worldly kind of message anyway. You know, they claim to be Christians, and they're smoking and drinking and partying and doing everything, and that goes for both Alex and Schroyer. So, and I'm not saying that they're not commentating and they're not doing a great job covering news or anything, but if you're talking about really knowing God's will and really serving the Lord the way you should in what you do, alerting people about the real dangers and having accurate understanding of what's going on in the world, and not just, you know, doing stuff to gain, you know, a following or making money off of, you know, products, whatever. This is a lot of drama. And I'm not saying that, you know, either side. I think that they've both been in bed with each other for a long time. You know, Schroyer is not in any way, there's probably a lot of truth to what Alex is saying too, you know, on both sides. You know, it takes two to tango. You know, when you got to fight, it takes two to fight. So I don't, and when I sat and watched Schroyer last night, I was like, oh, brother, you know, this is not good for him either. It's not good for either of them, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, the network, I tried to tell them that they needed to focus on more of a ministry mindedness. And that was about the time when Crowder had, they started doing this Revelation, the book of Revelation stuff, where they were talking about prophecy on Alex's show. So they were going to try to do that regularly, but they really, you know, you got to put your whole heart, soul, and mind to follow what God has for you, whatever you're doing, whatever work you do. It has to be sanctified and set apart to God. And then he has to be really influencing the real course of that work that you're doing. You know, I don't know. It's the commentary, obviously comes from the heart, and however you perceive the world that you're in. If you don't have an eye that's single, right? It says your whole body will be full of light. Whatever you're doing, you put your hand to, you do it with the strength that God gives. And that would include whatever work it is. If you're a journalist, do it with the strength that God gives you. Be led by the Spirit. Speak the truth. You know, don't be afraid to commentate because you're afraid you're going to offend somebody, or you're trying to work because you're getting a paycheck or whatever. Because if you do that, you're compromising your true message that's going to affect people's souls, right? The reality of what's really going on, the truth of what really can set people free. Speak the truth in love. You know, that doesn't mean that you just are worried about people's emotion and their feelings. You tell them the truth. You do it in love. You tell people the truth, and let the cards and the chips fall where they may. Amen. But anyways, I love them both. I mean, you know, I'm not. I just pray, and I will continue to pray for them that it's definitely more things will become more and more clear as time goes on, that's for sure. A CERN scientist is missing, really? Really? So what is going on here with the... Oops. Let's see what we got here. We're still waiting here for the festivities to begin. So it's supposed to start at what time? 12, 1. I thought it was, 2 o'clock, 11, 12, 1, 2. So we're late. It should have been happening by now. So it was supposed to have been an announcement at 2. That would have been Eastern Standard Time, and there still hasn't been an announcement yet. So we're still like a half hour late. What is this? Is this like fashionably late here? I mean, this is unfashionably late because it's already, 40 minutes past already. Am I right on that? That's the same one. Okay. He may be smoking pot. I know he's saying that to try to denigrate him, but I'm sure that Owen, I've seen them all drinking beer together, and I'm just talking about on air or when they're out having fun. So they're partying and they're getting drunk and at certain points, and I'm sure they smoke pot. I know that I'm not sure if Alex, he kind of is making it sound like it's not something that he does. He's trying to make it sound like, he's somebody that's separated from that with his own family. He's got kids and everything. But does Owen smoke weed? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. But then again, maybe Owen will come out and say he doesn't. And Alex is lying, but it sounded like he's outing him for, as a way to kind of show the world, hey, like everything that Owen is saying is not true. And there's a financial interest there, I'm sure, but there might be that, that Infowars is on its last leg, and that things are definitely falling apart. For Owen to come out and talk about the product that Alex sells, that what do they call it, methylene blue? That sounds kind of creepy anyway. I would never take that. I looked it up, and it's some kind of it's made in a lab. I would never take that stuff. It's supposed to give you extra energy, and it supposedly makes your tongue blue and your pee, you're gonna pee blue. And so he starts talking about it and how he didn't like it. So why didn't he say that while he was on the air? He's in there promoting all these products for the last, 7 or 8 years or 10 years that he's been there. Ad nauseum. I mean, that's all it is a big, long info commercial. It's not so much an info war as now it becomes an infomercial. They ought to call Infowars infomercial instead. Because that's all it seems like to me. It's just a big, long infomercial. No, they do have good stuff on. I mean, they get good guests on there. I mean, I like to listen to certain people that they might have on, but you got to get past all the commercials, man. It's just like one commercial after another. Do not bear false witness. Okay, so what am I bearing false witness about? Yeah, it's not about lifting people up. It's about making sure that they're right with God. And sometimes people need to be told the truth, and that might be a tearing down. The Bible does say that he tears down and he builds up. So there is a tearing down, and the truth tears you down. It's not always going to build you up. It'll build you up in the right way. Once you get, like if you have a structure that's fallen apart, you tear it down to the foundation, right? And sometimes you got to lay a new foundation too, because the foundation's all cracked. So yeah, that might be negative. Get in there with a bulldozer and just destroy it, and then start to rebuild it, because that's what might need to happen. So yeah, I'm not going to just tickle people's ears and tell them what they want to hear. Yeah, Fig Beater, I'm sure. I know. I'm sure that there are both sides there. There's two sides, but and I agree, I think the whole network went off on a, and I mean, I think that what happens over time, the more that you resist what God is trying to do in your life, the more you get hardened in a rebellion that it's harder to now repent of. And so things get farther and farther away from your possible, restoration and or faith. And that's like what I was telling you. Hardening your heart, you're stiffening your neck, you're going to be broken without remedy. At a certain point, everything falls apart, and it falls apart hard. Now, if you would humble yourself and truly repent before when God calls you to, yeah, it's still going to be difficult. Yeah, there's still going to be loss, so you're going to give things up. But at least you did willingly. You didn't have to be unwillingly broken. The Bible says, fall upon the rock willingly, right? And you will be broken, lest the rock falls upon you and you be crushed to powder. Which one do you want to do? You want God to just crush you into powder, or do you want to be broken, right? The Bible says a broken and contrite spirit and heart thou will not despise. A broken and a contrite heart thou will not despise. God doesn't want to harm us. He wants to build us up into his image, but he wants to get the image of the world out of us. The image of the devil cannot be in your temple, and God will not have idols and his own presence in your heart. He does not exist with idols. So no matter what you might say and how you might try to frame it, well, this is just what we do as Christians. We're political Christians. We need to be wholeheartedly set apart for God in every way. God can still use you, but you're not going to be used in a way that is noble. There's noble uses, and there's vessels that are for noble use, and there's vessels of honor, and there's also vessels of dishonor. And God can still use you as a vessel of dishonor, but do you want to be a vessel of dishonor? I'd say set yourself apart and cleanse yourself of the latter so that you might become a vessel of honor. That's what the scripture says. So take it for what it's worth. Rodney Howard-Brown is part of the NAR movement. Yeah, I think you're right on that. The blue is great stuff. Really, you got to be careful with it. Be careful with that blue. All right, so let's see what some of the other. Larry Sinclair died, really? That was the guy that accused Obama, right? Wasn't that? Oh, wait a minute. Who was Larry Sinclair? Wasn't he the guy that was the Obama guy? Yeah, Barack Obama and Larry Sinclair. He had accused Obama of some pretty crazy stuff. But he died, huh? Yeah. Pretty crazy. Amongst other things. I like the way you said that, Jenny. Jenica. That's a cool name, Jenica. I never heard that before, Jenica. Among other things. Oh, man. Robert keeps drinking that coffee, and now I need to make a pot. Yes, it's a good thing. Let's see what's up with NORAD. Let's see. Trump says, okay, so Justin, Trump says there will be an emergency meeting tomorrow on the tariff ruling. On the tariff ruling? What the heck does that mean? Is that the tariff ruling that it's illegal, you mean? But Trump's is gonna whine and complain to the American people that the judges are stifling and ultimately going to destroy it, because that's what he said yesterday, that America is going to go and become a third world country because of what happened in the courts. So he's going to take it and appeal. He's going to appeal to the American people and say, if you don't stop this, if you don't rise up and overthrow the Constitution, because that's really what this is, it's the Constitution at work, our whole country is going to be destroyed. That's probably what he's going to be doing tomorrow. So President Trump says there will be an emergency meeting tomorrow on the tariff ruling. Are they going to appeal it to the Supreme Court? I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. But if they do, what happens if the Supreme Court rules against them and finalizes it? That would be interesting, huh? Oh, let's see what else we got here. It says Israel has started its ground operation in Gaza City, per ABC News. Okay, here we go. Here we go, guys. It's going live.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very important day and an important announcement with great friends of mine. I think I can say this group is every one of them. I rate a 10. I can't always say that, even if they're Republicans, and these are Republicans, great Republicans. I want to thank you all for being here for this important announcement, 7 years in the making. As you know, this has been going on for a long period of time, and I am thrilled to report that the U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City. Okay, so Huntsville, Alabama. We love Alabama. I only won it by about 47 points. I don't think that influenced my decision, though, right? That didn't, right? But we had a lot of competition for this, and Alabama's getting it. Huntsville in particular. So congratulations, everybody. Katie, congratulations. This will result in more than 30,000 Alabama jobs, and probably much more than that, and hundreds of millions of dollars of investment, and that's billions, because it can't be millions, it's billions and billions of dollars. Most importantly, this decision will help America defend and dominate the high frontier, as they call it. I want to thank Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's doing a fantastic job, and Secretary of the Air Force Troy Mink. Troy, thank you very much. Great job you're doing, Troy. This is such a big deal. This is one that everybody wanted to know. What are you doing? I also want to thank Senators Katie Britt, and I want to give my condolences. Your grandmother, her grandmother just passed away. She was 100, right?
100, and she loves you, Mr. President.
Well, and she was very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Very, very proud of you. So thank you, Katie.
Wonderful woman.
She must have been. To produce you indirectly, I can tell you she had to be. Tommy Tuberville, who's a great coach. And I won't say anything about what happened with Alabama football this weekend.
Let's leave that out.
But you're not used to that, right? You're not used to that. But Tommy, Auburn won, that's right. They did. So you're happy. Tommy's been a great senator, as you know, and a fantastic guy all around. He was also a tremendous coach. House Armed Services Committee Chair Mike Rogers. Thank you, Mike. Where's Mike? Mike, thank you very much. Doing great, Mike. Representatives Barry Moore, all great friends, Robert Adderholt, Gary Palmer, and Dale Strong. Thank you all very much, fellas. Appreciate it. In my first term, I created a thing called Space Force, so important. You know, we were losing the race in space very badly to China and to Russia, and now we're far and away #1 in space. And reestablish SpaceCom with a mission to protect American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the SpaceCom headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration. And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be. I will say I want to thank Colorado. The problem I have with Colorado, one of the big problems, they do mail-in voting. They went to all mail-in voting. So they have automatically crooked elections. And we can't have that. When a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections, because that's what that means. So that played a big factor also. In Huntsville, Space Comm will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile Defense Shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, the finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and we're going to work something out with them, I hope. It will also ensure that our technological capabilities, of which we're way ahead of anybody else, there's nobody close, remain unmatched long into the future. So I'd like to ask Secretary Hegseth to say a few words. He was very much a part of it. And really, everybody behind me was. Every one of these people would call me and lobby me. I said, Katie, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I know what you want. She said, that's right, sir. That's what I want. And they got their way. So I just want to congratulate. These are really special people. They're politicians in many ways, but they're great patriots, I think even more so than politicians. So they fought very hard to get it, and it's an honor to give it to Huntsville. Pete, say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. As usual, right place, right time, for the right reason. In your first administration, you established the Space Force at a time when we knew we had to be looking to that domain of space. You also reestablished SpaceCom to ensure that priority was put in place, and you, through the Air Force, independently identified that Huntsville, Alabama was the right place to put it. For other reasons, in the next administration under Biden, they decided to move it somewhere else. Well, during that time, the DoD Inspector General, the Government Affairs Office, they did their own assessments, and where did they say SpaceCom should go? Huntsville, Alabama. So what you're doing today, Mr. President, is restoring it to precisely where it should be based on what the Space Force, the Air Force, your leadership believes will give us strategic advantage in the future. That is Huntsville, Alabama. We are way ahead in space, but this will ensure we stay leaps and bounds ahead because that's the most important domain. Whoever controls the skies will control the future of warfare. And Mr. President, today you're ensuring that happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Katie, would you like to say something?
Mr. President, we are grateful for your leadership on this and restoring Space Command to its rightful home in Huntsville, Alabama. This delegation has worked together, both chambers, both parties, to make sure that Huntsville was the place that Space Command called home. As was mentioned, obviously the Biden administration chose to make this political. What we want to do is put the safety and security of Americans first. We want to make sure that our warfighter is put first, and we want to make sure that America continues to lead. And today, Mr. President, you've allowed that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tommy, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. This is a great day for our country, not just for our state of Alabama. We need help in our military. We need to catch up. And as Secretary has said, we're not behind in space, but we know where we're at, and we need to expound on that. Now, this move will save the taxpayers $480 million. It's not going to cost more. It's going to cut $480 million. We have the plans intact. It'll be behind a secure wall in Huntsville, Alabama, at Redstone Arsenal. We have 40,000 people there. We have the FBI there. We have missile defense there. We have NASA, Blue Origin, and SpaceX. It is the perfect place for Space Command. I would tell you today, and I've spoke with the President for the last 3 or 4 years about this. If I thought it needed to go somewhere else because I understand the security of our country, I'd be for that. But the best place for Space Command is Huntsville, Alabama, because what we have and what it means to this country is going to be so important. So thank you, Mr. President, for this, and we look forward to building a huge Space Command and having the Donald J. Trump Space Command Center in Huntsville, Alabama.
Here.
JD, would you like to say something?
Sure. Well, Mr. President, thank you. I'll be very brief here. I lobbied the president hard to put it in Ohio, but he said these people behind us, these Alabamas, are just too powerful and too persuasive. And so it's in Alabama. But as Tommy said, this is exactly the right place for Space Force and Space Command. I think Americans ought to appreciate the fact that you can't win the battle of the future unless you control the skies. The cyber security, the communications, the entire infrastructure of the battle in the 21st century will be in space. So it was a visionary move in the first administration for the president to set up Space Force, and I think an equally visionary move to make sure that Space Force is right where it should be in Huntsville, Alabama. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, anybody want to say anything? Would you like to say?
Mr. President, another promise made, another promise kept. You think about it, Redstone Arsenal is critical to national security. The president said when you were the 45th president, let's do what's right for national security. And today, that's exactly what we're doing. It's not because of this or that, it's because it's right for national security. You think of the 21 categories that were evaluated to determine what was best for national security. All indicators pointed back to Huntsville, Alabama, and Redstone Arsenal. We have the right people at the right place at the right time. Mr. President, on behalf of the people of the 5th Congressional District and all of Alabama, thank you for keeping your word.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Anybody?
Let me just say, Mr. President, I want to say thank you. And thank you for doing this because it was the right thing to do. When they looked at all the numbers, Huntsville was the place to go, and like you say, it was unfortunately pulled out, but you made it right. So I want to just say thank you again for a grateful nation, and to the state of Alabama, we're very grateful. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Throughout history, militaries has always understood that whoever could hold the high ground held the advantage. Space is the ultimate high ground. And what we're doing with moving the Space Command to Huntsville is absolutely critical to our maintaining dominance in that sphere. And it goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do with the Golden Dome and missile defense to defend against anyone else who tries to enter that sphere. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. And obviously, national defense is a huge issue. And when you look at the scores, Alabama was #1. And for political reasons, it was moved out of our state. But Mr. President, thank you for making priorities the defense and the warfighter and the safety of this nation. And in the big, beautiful bill, that Golden Dome will be built in Huntsville, Alabama, and we're grateful for that. Thank you.
Listen, as chairman of the Armed Services Committee, I care very much about what's most important for our national security. And the president held a nationwide competition to determine where we should have this command. If y'all remember, at the end of that competition, where Alabama came in first, there was a lot of complaints from the other states who did not place well. He said, we'll do it over with new criteria to accommodate your concerns. Alabama came in first in that second competition. His Secretary of the Air Force reviewed the results, said it was fair, and the president named Huntsville. It was the Biden administration that decided to make it political, even though his own Secretary of the Air Force said it was a fair competition and it should be in Huntsville. So I want you to know I appreciate this president standing up and being strong and saying he's going to make this right and put it where it rightfully belongs, and that's Huntsville, Alabama.
Thank you very much. Good job. Appreciate it. So thank you all very much. You are going to leave me alone now. You're not going to call me anymore and talk about this subject, right? You promise? They'll start something else. But I just want to congratulate you. It's a very big deal. When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago, and our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing, and you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this meeting is over. Do you have any questions, please? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Tuberville talked about the cost savings associated with this announcement. Can you talk about the strategic benefits by having Space Force Command headquartered in Huntsville?
Well, it just works because we have so much else there. And having a central, you could call it a central command, but it really is a command station. Also, even locationally, where it is, and when you think about flying distances, if you can save a half an hour as fast as some of these planes go and things go, and even the rockets go, if you can save by having the best location. So we went out, as you know, to experts, and we had 4 different groups of experts. They all said this was the best location. I also loved it from the standpoint, I know the people of Alabama, they are great people, work hard, and there's no games, and they're very proud of it. And I would say they fought harder for it than anybody else also. A lot of states, 5 states really wanted it, but they wanted it more. And I kid you not when I say that these people, they spoke to me a lot. That's all they wanted to talk about. They didn't want to talk about the weather. They only wanted to talk about moving to this location, moving to Alabama, Huntsville in particular. So we're honored to do it. They really wanted it badly, and they got it. Peter?
President Trump, something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see it for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own, pretty nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff.
I'm glad it's
Well, it's fake news. You know, it's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying, like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it to that extent. Go ahead, Peter.
something else. We know that this country has a huge problem with school shootings. You've said that you're open to sending the National Guard pretty much anywhere. Would you ever consider sending an armed National Guardsman to every school?
Well, we have a big problem with school shooting, but we also have thousands and thousands of schools that run perfectly. You know, they talk about you can do things construction-wise, and that's really, I think nobody knows more about construction than me. You can build the construction doors. You can build what they call safety doors, where they lock on the outside, the inside, and every place else. Well, but if one of these lunatics happens to get through, then the police can't get in. Then they're looking for keys all over the place, and it takes a lot of disadvantages to doing, spending billions and billions of dollars and actually making it safer in some way for some of these lunatics that we're dealing with. But I don't think so. I've thrown out the concept. We have great teachers that love our children. The parents love the children. Teachers love the children too. And if you took a small percentage of those teachers that were in the military, that were distinguished in the military, that were in the National Guard, et cetera, and you let them carry. That's something that a lot of people like. I sort of liked it. I'd have to be studied, but they're trained. They know about weapons. You can't do it with every teacher because most teachers don't know, but I always thought that would be an alternative. But it just, we've had a lot of instances. Other countries have also. They have different kinds of problems than we have, but we do have, there's something going on, and it's a bad thing. Yes, please.
Have you spoken with President Putin in the past week? Have you spoken with President Putin in the past week?
Yeah, I don't want to, I have learned things that will be very interesting. I think in the next few days you'll find out.
Will there be any consequences if there isn't some type of announcement of a meeting with President Putin and President Zelensky?
Yeah, they
and
will.
what could those consequences
We're going to
be?
see what happens. We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week, they lost 7,000, between the two countries, 7,313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact, for no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, but, you know, they're soldiers. I want to see it end. Yeah.
Mr. President, have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible. If we didn't put out the fires, and I mean the other fires, the bullet fires, they didn't do a good job with, they should have had the water coming down, like I said. You know, we had to release the water. We had to go in and release the water to L.A. It's so badly run. But if I didn't send the National Guard into Los Angeles, I would be making an announcement today. I'd be talking about Huntsville, and I'd simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles. If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, the top law enforcement person in Los Angeles said, we could not have handled it without them. So that's what he said.
Did you make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad, really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week, you know, it was like years, many years, where every single week somebody was killed for many, many, many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had, last week it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem. And we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful, and the police commission has been very helpful, and it's been a great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me, I'd gain respect for him and say, we do have a problem, and we'd love you to send in the troops, because you know what? The people, they have to be protected. I saw today on one of your networks, not a friendly network, except really the opposite, I would say, very unfriendly network, and they interviewed about 12 people on this morning. Most of them were African American, they were black, and they were saying, please, please, please let the president send in. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help. We need help. We can't walk outside. We're petrified. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country. And that includes Baltimore. I saw where Governor Moore was asking me to take a walk down the street of Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is a very unsafe place. It's rated number 4 in the city, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in the world. But, you know, we took care. This was a beautiful thing that happened in Washington because we showed that it could be done. And this wasn't just sending big, strong guys, and they are big and they are strong. You know, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court that had to do with sort of talent. It had to do with you are put down based on merit. You can hire based on merit. So merit for a soldier or for a policeman is strong, physically fit, having a certain ability, not a person that is woke and got the job through woke, but wasn't strong enough to lift a gun out of the holster, et cetera, et cetera. No, I looked at the police. As you know, last week I went over, we had a meeting with, there had to be 300 people, and they were all very impressive looking. And when the bad guys see them, they're not going to do a thing. And so I'm very proud of Washington. It serves as a template, and we're going to do it elsewhere. But Chicago is certainly going to be high. I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, sir, we need help. It's out of control. And everyone knows it is. He's not kidding anyone. I would love to have I would say Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place, and you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else that they have, right? But you can walk right down the street, even by yourself, and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am, please.
Mr. President, as you're calling on Democratic leaders across the country to work with you on crime, do you see your efforts here in D.C., including, for example, working with Mayor Bowser here as a model for bringing more bipartisanship in matters not only with crime, but also issues that matter to everyday American people's lives?
So Mayor Bowser's been great. She could have taken the thing, oh, well, and then after I clean it up, they'll take credit for it. You know what they do is they take credit. Like, we cleaned up Los Angeles. We did a great job there. And it was overwhelming what was going on. And again, the police chief made a statement that we could not have done, there's no way they could handle it. You saw what was happening out there. It was going to be a disaster. We stopped it cold. If we didn't do that, would have been a very sad day. And you know, remember, we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have all these things coming, and we have 250, all of these things coming. But I watched Newsom get up and say he's doing a great, he's not, we're the ones that did it, and that's okay, whatever it takes, but the main thing is but he got up and said, we did it. Well, he didn't want us there, and he's going to need us again because it's starting to form again. I see it. It's starting to form again. You know, we have to maintain. It's like maintenance on an airplane. You can buy it, but you have to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it, a good plane becomes very unsafe very quickly. So it's an honor to do it. It's a lot of presidents wouldn't do what I'm doing. I don't need this heat, but when I watched television last night and I'm watching the news and I see that 9 people were killed in Chicago and 54 were badly wounded with bullets, I say, that's not this country. We have to do something. And I do say this, I say this very much. I'm not speaking to anybody but them right now. I would love to receive calls from governors and mayors saying they need help. We'll help them. We have a lot of people. We have a great force. We have a great military force. You know, Pete will tell you that when I was running for office, and this was a big headline, I think, you know, probably got me a couple of votes, but you couldn't sign people in the military. Nobody wanted to join the military, the Army, Air Force, the Navy, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard. We never forget Coast Guard because they've done such a great job. Never. But nobody wanted to join any of them. We were way below what we wanted. Every single one. The closest was the Marines, whatever that is. You'll explain that to me. But the closest was the Marines. But every service was way down, way down. And then I got elected, and our country's the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. Everybody's talking about the USA. They're talking about the job that we're doing. Everybody. We have the best economy. We have a very, very important decision being made by the Supreme Court because our country is the richest, the strongest, the most powerful. But if for some reason some liberal court, I'm talking about the court that just ruled, where even an Obama judge voted in favor of us, which I gave him a compliment yesterday, as you know. I said that took great courage. But it's a liberal court, and it's going up to the Supreme Court, who I think have been incredible people. I think they've made very wise decisions. But the tariff question, because without the tariffs, this country is in serious, serious trouble. We've taken in almost $17 trillion of investment is coming in. Most of it is coming because of tariffs. And if for some reason somebody wanted to be politically correct, I actually think it's unpolitically correct. I think politically correct is to approve it, because there's nothing so popular as what's happened to our country. Our country is doing so well. But we had a liberal court gave us a very shocking ruling, and that ruling is basically saying that the trillions of dollars that are pouring into our country, putting us in a position like no country is anywhere in the world, that they'd like to see us that taken away. By the way, a lot of the people behind that lawsuit, that particular, are from foreign countries. I might add.
There's a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residents upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably AI generated.
So
Actually, you can't open the windows. You know why? They're all heavily armored and bulletproof.
So that's a fake video?
Well, it's got to be, because I know every window up there. The last place I'd be doing it is that, because there's cameras all over the place, right? Including yours. No, but every window, I've never seen a window that's, in fact, my wife was complaining about it the other day. She said, love to have a little fresh air come in, but you can't. They're bulletproof. And number one, they're sealed. And number two, each window weighs about 600 pounds. You have to be pretty strong to open them up. No, that has to be, where was the window? Let me see.
Maybe from the renovations.
Which is the window?
It looks like this is on the 15th Street side, I think. Yeah. So right here.
Yeah, those windows are sealed. Those windows are they're all sealed. You can't open them.
What you were saying regarding the federal.
It's the kind of thing they do. And one of the problems we have with AI, it's both good and bad. If something happens really bad, just blame AI. But also they create things, you know, it works both ways. If something happens that's really bad, maybe I'll have to just blame AI. But there's truth to it, because I see so many phony things. I saw something as I was growing up, from the time I was a baby till now. I said, who did that? It was AI generated. So it's a little bit scary, to be honest with you. But those windows are all very heavily sealed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to follow up with what you were saying regarding that federal appellate court that ruled against you and your administration as it relates to your ability.
Well, they ruled against our country, the court, and they ruled against us before. It's a very liberal court.
You called it highly partisan. partisan in your
Well, it
social
certainly
media
is.
posts.
It certainly
and in
is.
fact, it was along ideological lines, 7-4.
Well, except that we actually got one of the Obama judges that was appointed by President Obama voted in favor of the tariffs because he felt it was imperative for our country to thrive and survive even. And I gave him credit. I said, you know what? That took a lot of courage for him to do it because you don't see that often.
So my question is, I suspect you're going to appeal that all the way to the Supreme Court.
Well, we already have, yeah. In fact, we're doing something else. We're going to be going to the Supreme Court, we think, tomorrow, because we need an early decision. I mean, look, the financial fabric of our country, we're a rich, incredible country right now, and we're able to, you know, other countries use tariffs on us for years, and we never did. I did a lot during my first term, but then we had COVID, and we had to focus on other things. You couldn't be tariffing Italy, Spain, France, as they were dying by the thousands and millions. But we did with China, and China paid us billions and billions of dollars. And I started the process, but then I had to end it a little bit because of COVID. We focused on that. But no, it's a very important decision. And frankly, if they make the wrong decision, it would be a devastation for our country. We've taken in trillions of dollars. And by the way, all these countries signed agreements, as an example. They signed, they're all happy, everybody's happy. But some whack job put in a lawsuit. It went before a very liberal court, and the liberal court ruled, it was 11, they ruled 7-4, with one of the most liberal of them all voting in our favor because they're patriots. I think I give tremendous credit to that judge. And now it's going to the Supreme Court. Now we're going to be asking for early admittance. We're going tomorrow, and we're going to ask for an expedited ruling because, you know, when you look at the stock market's down today, the stock market's down because of that, because the stock market needs the tariffs. They want the tariffs. If you look at AI, all of those, you know, all of that money that's going to be invested, trillions and trillions of dollars, the biggest thing, bigger than the internet, I suspect. It's the internet plus 3 or 4 other things combined. We are leading very substantially with AI. We're leading because of tariffs. We're leading because of talent, and this is where they'd like to be. But without the tariffs, we wouldn't have a chance because we wouldn't be able to protect those investments of the companies coming in. So if you took away tariffs, we could end up being a third world country. That's how big the ruling. So we're asking for an expedited ruling.
As a backstop to that, President, you have a Republican-controlled Congress. You control the House. You control the Senate.
Yeah, but we don't have 60 votes. We don't have 60 votes. I'd love to do that. Oh, if we had 60 senators, if we got the 60 votes, we would get them. But we need 60 votes, and we need, you know, a certain number in the House. I think we'd get, I don't know, we have about 5 of them here. Would everybody agree with me on tariffs? Without tariffs, we're a different country. We have taken in so much money. And here's the thing. We signed a deal with Japan. They're paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. We signed a deal with South Korea. We signed a deal with the European Union. We signed a deal with Europe. And those countries are paying us $950 billion. And they're happy about it. They're okay. As one of them said, it's amazing that we got away with it so long. One of my friends, a leader of one of the countries, and they're fine with it. They all signed. If that ruling ever went against us, I guess we'd have to give back hundreds of billions. We would have to give trillions and trillions of dollars back to countries that have been ripping us off for the last 35 years. And I can't imagine it happening. On a legal basis, they have no legal basis whatsoever. But on a common sense basis, it would destroy America. Okay.
We talked about controlling the sky. On Sunday, the satellite signal of Ursula von der Leyen's plane was alleged.
With Ursula? Well, she had an interesting event. She's a tremendous woman. And so what are you asking me about her?
NATO is concerned about it, and too, about this.
Sure, NATO is concerned about it. Well, nobody knows where it came from, but they did take away her ability to use a phone. You know? Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that could happen to me. I'd be very happy.
Mr. President, reducing the tariffs on India from 50%.
What does that mean?
Are you considering taking away some of the tariffs that you've imposed on India? You had posted.
No, we get along with India very well. But India has, you have to understand, for many years it was a one-sided relationship. Only now, since I came along, and because of the power that we have with tariffs, India was charging us tremendous tariffs, about the highest in the world. They were about the highest in the world, number one. And we therefore weren't doing much business with India, but they were doing business with us because we weren't charging them. Foolishly, we weren't charging them. So they would send in massive, everything they made, they'd send it in, pour it into our country. Therefore, it wouldn't be made here, which is a negative. But we would not send in anything because they were charging us 100% tariffs. And, I'll give you an example, Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson couldn't sell into India. There was a 200% tariff on a motorcycle. So what happens? Harley Davidson went to India and built a motorcycle plant. And now they don't have to pay tariffs. Same thing as us. So what we're doing is literally thousands of companies are coming into the U.S., car companies, AI, but, more traditionally, car companies. We have so many car company factories under construction or being designed right now. And they're coming from China, they're coming from Mexico, I must tell you, and they're coming from Canada, a lot of them coming from Canada. But they're coming into our country because they want to build here. And they want to build here for two reasons. Number one, they'd like to be here. And number two, the tariffs are protecting them. And number three, they want to avoid paying tariffs. When they build their cars here, they don't have any tariffs to pay. When you build here, you don't have any tariffs.
Mr. President,
Go ahead,
in light of the Minnesota shooting last week, the Department of Homeland Security is now awarding more than $100 million to hundreds of faith organizations across the country to help them ramp up security. What's your vision for further protecting religious liberty across the country amid incidents of threats and violence?
Religious liberty is so important, and we're talking about every religion now, and we're doing things on that nobody else has ever done, and we're going to be having a big announcement in about 2 weeks on that question. Yeah, please.
On Space Command, sir, are you concerned that people may not be willing to relocate from Colorado to Alabama?
No, I'm not worried. It will get somebody else. The problem with Colorado is they have a very corrupt voting system. Look, I have so many friends in Colorado. Anytime you have mail-in voting, you have corrupt elections. Very simple. It's very simple. Even Jimmy Carter said it with his commission. They set up a commission with him and Scoop Jackson and some people, highly regarded people. And they said the finding was, if you have mail-in voting, you will have corrupt elections. Well, your radical left governor decided that he was going to have all mail-in voting in Colorado. Once you have all mail-in voting, and for whatever reason, the Democrats cheat. And they cheat like, they're not stupid. That's the only thing. They're no good on policy. They're no good on management. They're no good at government. But they're great at cheating. And they stick together, too. I give them credit for sticking together.
Mr. President,
please.
Obviously, this is a big win for national security, moving this to Alabama. We've all can agree with that.
Big.
Is there any idea of the economic impact this has on the state and on that local area?
Katie, do you want to answer that?
Look, go ahead, George.
Please go.
This is going to be tremendous. The state of Alabama, what we've seen through this process is the worst of Washington. We've seen politics get in the way of what is best for the warfighter, what's best for national security. And the state of Alabama is about to show the country the best among us. So we know the economic impact is going to be tremendous. There at Redstone Arsenal, we're proud to house everything from the FBI to headquarters there for material command to a number of things. We obviously have NASA with Marshall Space Flight Center, and so this naturally fits within. When you look at the decision matrix that they placed in front of us, that's why we ranked so high, is because we have the resources necessary and the ability to build out quickly to meet the needs in front of us. As far as economic impact, it would be tremendous. Does anybody have an exact number? 1,600 jobs.
3,000 spinoff.
With 3,000 spinoff. Look at this. This is teamwork right here. So we are really proud, and the people of Alabama are ready to get to work.
And I've got a housing question, if you could, just for a second, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
please.
Owning a home And going about the American dream seems like it's out of touch for a lot of Americans. Just recently, you pushed out a statement about addressing an emergency housing situation.
That's right. We're thinking about doing that.
Yeah, can you just...
Well, we need a little help from the Fed. We have a man named Jerome Too Late Powell. You probably heard of him. He's too late. He's way too late. And the economy is so strong that it's pushing through that. Normally, it would have been much tougher, but we're doing so well that we're pushing through it. But it makes it very hard for people to get mortgages because too late is too late. Very simple. He's too late. And probably political, whatever. He wasn't too late before the election. Before the election, he was cutting rates, right? Because he was hoping that, I guess, Biden would get in or that Kamala would. He was a big Biden guy. Explain that one. And then he was a Kamala person. But he was hoping, I guess, she'd win, I guess. I don't know. It didn't work out too well. But yeah, we need a very serious cut. You know, I think that if you look back many decades ago, the United States was always the lowest, even if they were doing badly. The United States was, because without the United States, everything in the world would die. It's true. It's so powerful. It's so big, and I made it really big in the first 4 years. Then it started to degenerate with what this Biden administration did, but we've built it up to a level that I never thought we could be at this quickly. We're the hottest, we're the best financially. The money coming in is so big because of tariffs and other things, but because of tariffs. Tariff gets us even those other things. Plus, it gets us great negotiating. I settled 7 wars, and numerous of those wars were because of trade, and numerous of the trade deals that I made were because of tariffs. It gives you a great negotiating ability. If that ability were taken away from us by a liberal court acting on essentially foreign nations, asking to get help from the United States government, when they've been doing this to us for 40 years, that's why we have $38 trillion in debt. We won't have it for long if they let us, if they allow us to do what everybody knows we should be able to do. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, another Biden-era action that you're now reversing is that you signed a deal last week to make federal buildings adopt and embrace classical architecture styles again. Can you talk to us about why you do that, and also what's your vision?
Well, we want to see beautiful buildings. Now, you know, it's in the eye of the beholder. I've seen architectural reviews over the years. I'm an expert at it. I've gotten a lot of great reviews. But I've seen buildings that I didn't think were very good get great reviews, and I've seen great buildings get bad reviews. So, but it's just a standard. We want to have a good standard. We're building something here. You know, for 150 years, they wanted a ballroom at the White House. We're doing something at the highest level, using great architects and all. And, you know, it's very exciting. But we have a lot of interesting things happening architecturally in D.C. And D.C. is like a different place. And, you know, even the contractor said, sir, we walked down today, we feel like much safer. It's like a different place. Washington, D.C. is great. Now, we're going to also beautify it. We're going to put a topping on the roads. We're not going to rip them apart and take 4 years to build a road that was exactly the same by the time you build it. But we're going to put toppings. We're going to put new medians in. We're going to get the graffiti off. We're going to put tiles up in the tunnels where the tiles are missing. We'll do the whole tunnel instead of, you know, a little area where you see new tiles, old tiles that never look too good. But they could use it. You know, they've been up for 50 years. They've served their duty. But we're going to make this within about a 20-mile radius from the White House. We're going to have this place spick and span. It's going to be crime-free, and it's going to be spick and span. It's going to be, you'll be proud of Washington again. Go ahead, please.
Sir, China's having a massive military parade that President Putin and Kim Jong-un will be attending. Do you interpret that as a challenge to this? And are you concerned at all about those countries trying to be some sort of counterweight?
Not at all. China needs us, and I have a very good relationship with President Xi, as you know, but China needs us much more than we need them. No, I don't see that at all, no. And I had actually a very good meeting with President Putin a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if anything comes out of it. If it doesn't, we'll take a different stance.
One March today in California ruled that your deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles was illegal. Do you have any response?
Well, it was a radical left judge. But very importantly, what did you not tell me in that question or statement that you made pretty much of a statement, I think?
Well, I was asking for your response.
No, you didn't say what the judge said, though. The judge said, but you can leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can continue to be in place. That's all we need. But why didn't you put that as part of your statement? Because the same judge ruled exactly as you said, except the judge said that you could leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can stay, they can remain, they can do what they have to do. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you. Let's head out. Let's go, guys. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Keep going. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. So there you go. What do you think? So I like the part where he says, oh, if anything bad happens, we can just blame it on AI. And that's really a good way to cover up things that may be actually true. Really, if you had something that didn't look good, you could always just blame it on AI, because AI is pretty good. You wouldn't be able to tell. Some of those pictures, I don't know. You know, people were saying those pictures were AI of Trump at the White House. Who knows? You know, there's a lot of positive speaking. It is a very disarming speech pattern that Trump has, especially when things aren't exactly the way they are being portrayed. When you really are looking at statements that are coming out directly contradicting what he says. And I don't know if that's just to keep people in a false state of security, because destroying wonderfully, you know, scripturally, if this is truly what's happening here, he does it suddenly with people at ease. When people are at ease is when the destruction comes, because people are giving their hope and they're putting their faith and their trust in something that isn't actually what's really going on. So are we on the present? Why didn't they talk more about what's happening in Venezuela? There was a ship that supposedly got some video coming out here pretty soon about sinking a Venezuelan drug ship. But what about the country itself? What about the preparations for a war that are happening right as we speak? Are we going to invade? I mean, why wasn't there any questions like that? Why was there no questions about the armada of troops that are basically bearing down on Venezuela itself and the 1.5 million man army that is preparing to confront the U.S.? Why wasn't there any questions about that? There could have been a whole bunch of questions. I think they're very scripted, and they're, you know, he almost seemed a little bit miffed at Fox News question with regards to whether or not he was dead. that actually at the beginning, I don't know if he didn't get the question, or he's not supposedly not aware of what people are saying about him online. I think he is aware of it, but I thought that was interesting. So, I'm looking at some of the things that Gavin Newsom has been posting. Check out this one. This is a Gavin Newsom post. Look at this. Okay, I can't play the music. Let's just put it up here really quick here. It's got a copyright, but it's basically showing Putin and India's Modi holding hands. Good buddies, good friends. Newsom says, but have no fear, Trump is sending the guard to Chicago. While this is not a good image. This is showing that half the world right now in population represented by these leaders is now aligning with an economic system that is outside of the U.S. traditional hegemony of the world reserve currency that was controlling global, trade. Really was influencing the whole of the planet in terms of a global economy now is shifting. And we're not supposed to be fearful. Oh, because the job of Trump is to keep everybody calm, peace, security, as the Bible says. But then sudden destruction will come upon them, like a woman in travail, and they will not escape. I'm telling you, there's blindness that's being promoted here and marketed on purpose, I think, to keep people in a state of false security. It's absolutely mind-boggling. But people don't want to believe the truth, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to be turned over to believe the lie, it says. They're going to be given over to believe the lie. And Trump says that, let's see what it says here. Israel is winning the war, but they are not winning the world, and it is hurting them. We talked about that yesterday. Let's see what else we got here. Trump says, I have learned very interesting things in the past few days regarding Putin, and you will find out in the coming few days. Trump. What the heck does that mean? We have no more crime in D.C., Trump. No more crime. It's all gone. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone now. Okay. Well, I guess, time will tell on that, right? Let's see what happens. Trump says that the video circulating of people throwing out bags out the window of the White House is AI morphed. What is this? Following today's White House announcement, U.S. Space Command stands ready to carry out the direction of the president following today's announcement of Huntsville, Alabama as the command's permanent headquarters location. China needs us more than we need them. What about India? What about Russia? What about all the BRICS and all the nations that are aligning with the BRICS? Do we need them? Nah, we can do it alone. We don't need them. We don't need those economies. We don't need all those products that they're producing. We'll make it ourselves. Something's going to go down in Mexico, too. So supposedly some big things going down over there in Mexico. It could be the Mexican radio. The Mexican, whoa, radio. Okay, so here is some other things that were being posted here. New polling reveals that Donald Trump is 25 points underwater when it comes to the handling of inflation. Democrats now lead Republicans in voters' minds when asked who is better equipped to handle inflation. Trump is down 25 points. But in 2004, he was up 9 points, right? All right, so what is this? This is interesting. Let's look at this one here. Fox News admits that Trump's crypto president shtick isn't about policy, it's about profit. The Trump family is the Trump family is creating billions of dollars in wealth via crypto schemes, while everyday families are struggling to afford higher prices on groceries. Let's see what this is coming from Fox. This is coming from Fox. Really? Serious? I thought this was the news network of Trump. Let's see what they're saying.
The Trump family just launched a brand new cryptocurrency. It is called WLFI. Lauren, how much has the Trump family itself accumulated of this? How much?
Yeah, for World Liberty Financial and the Wall Street Journal says it's $5 billion. So this coin, WLFI, is currently the 33rd largest coin by market cap, about $6 billion worth, according to CoinGecko. The family holds about a quarter of the tokens out there. They can't sell them, but now that the token has launched on the public markets, we have a valuation for it. The Wall Street Journal says this token is the family's most valuable asset, exceeding their property portfolio.
But they can't sell those tokens. They can't do it.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Correct. Not yet.
My goodness me.
Not yet. But anyways, so they're making a huge amount on marketing of their businesses, not to mention their crypto schemes. Don't forget, when Trump came into office, his crypto meme coin, or joke coin, as they call them, or scam coins, because they're not regulated, they owned probably 80% of the coins. When they came in, the market cap went from $9 or so to, $9 a coin, all the way up to $75 a coin, which ended up turning out to be a market cap of $75 billion, they say. $75 billion. And then within the first day or so of his presidency, his wallet, which there was a couple of wallets that they think they tracked to Trump and to his, obviously it's his meme coin, dumped everything at that moment, leaving many people that invested millions and millions of dollars without any profits. And in fact, they lost a huge portion of their investments right into his own pocket, right? And that would be, to the tune of at least $20 billion. There's a lot of people talking about that one. That was a very bad scam. And it's shameful. It's shameful that you can make that much money in just a few hours of becoming a president, because everybody's trusting that this coin is somehow going to make them some money, right? That don't understand how cryptos work or how these types of cryptos work. They're not really financial instruments. That they're just a entertainment coin. That's kind of like making a really cheap watch or having a Bible produced in China or a cheap watch out of China, making it look nice, but then saying it's worth something and that, it's a historical value and it's going to be gaining and increasing value in the future. So selling thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of these watches or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me that they're doing that. But let me just finish this really quick.
$5 billion?
Eye-popping numbers. He is the crypto president, the first one ever. A lot of crypto-friendly legislation, regulation.
What it amounts to is it's crypto-friendly legislation coming from the President of the United States, who is in turn cashing in on the crypto phase. Personally, his family.
Conflict of interest. They say no, but that's how it appears.
That's true.
Not yet. He hasn't sold them yet. It's not yet, but he already did it. He's already been doing it. And I mean, marketing every little trinket that he can find, even his little golden idols. The little golden idol trinkets on his colognes and perfumes and watches and trading cards, messianic trading cards. Gosh, it's just one thing after another, and then to market, and then this is like a ShamWow presidency. I just might as well call it the ShamWow presidency, because I feel like I'm always being sold a bill of goods. We're always being told something that's not actually true. It looks good. It sounds good. Hey, I'm going to go buy myself a ShamWow because the guy just is great at showing how it mops up water from carpets. And you can get two for the price of one, maybe. Well, but wait, there's more, Bob. There's more? Really? What else? There's another meme coin. We'll throw that in for you as well. It's like really, seriously. It's just not good. Like I said, it reflects on the character. It reflects on truly what's actually happening below the surface here in America and the policies that are being put out there for all of us to be caught up into, because it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect the whole country. Now, I'm not saying the Democrats are any better. In fact, I think they're all on the same team anyway. I think they're all working for the same goal and ultimately the same ends. Many of them probably don't realize that they're on the same team, but there are those higher level ones that do. And they're working for the same ultimate goal of bringing America to a point where it's going to be here real soon. So, and who's really behind that, really? That's end-time prophecy right there. That's when you get into the principalities and powers that understand and orchestrate what's actually happening. They're orchestrating it. You're getting high-level, powers and principalities. Now, here's an interesting thing I looked at today. Check this out. You know who that is? How many of you guys know who that is? That's Anton LaVey. And this channel, Red Pill USA, that has almost, 300,000 followers. It has over 300,000 followers. And it's followed by a lot of very prominent people. He posted this. Check this out. So he asked Grok, hey, Grok, did Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, write in his essay, The Plan? Did he write this? To be a Satanist is, by association, already to be aligned with the universal devil Jew. Did he really write that? Did Anton LaVey really say that? Grok says yes. Grok says yes. Yes, Anton LaVey included that quote in his essay, The Plan, from the 1998 book Satan Speaks. It's part of a discussion on Satanism's cultural affinities. Oh, cultural affinities, really? So Satanism is really culturally affiliated and it has an affinity with Judaism? Really? Can you tell me about Anton LaVey's upbringing? Was he Jewish? Asking Grok. Well, here's what Grok says about Anton LaVey's upbringing. Anton LaVey was born Howard Staten Levy in 1930 in Chicago, came from a Jewish family. His father was Jewish of Russian descent, and his mother's family had Russian, Ukrainian roots. They moved to San Francisco early on, and he dropped out of high school and worked jobs like a circus performer and musician, and developed an interest in the occult. He had Jewish heritage, but wasn't religiously observant. Nicholas Shurek was an outspoken practitioner of black magic who co-led the magical school. Shrek was married to Zena LaVey, daughter of Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan, in 1998 to 2015. Yeah, I saw an interview with them, and it was very creepy, too. These guys are very creepy. And look at this. Anton LaVey also claimed that music is being used to control people. It's intriguing that certain conspiracy theories align with this. Look at this. This is Anton LaVey's daughter on the right. Doesn't she look very much like... Who is that? Does anybody know who that is? They look kind of similar, don't they? Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And you know that, what was the guy, the black dude on the Rat Pack? What was his name? The guy that had the glass eye. I forget his name. He was a member of the Church of Satan. He was a member. Did you know that? Former psychic warns Dr. Oz's medical practices are rooted in a cult and are spiritually dangerous. Really? Isn't he working really closely with the health wing of the government, Dr. Oz? So they're using pharmakia on Americans and really the world, right? With their recommendations and everything else they're doing. Pharmakia. Yep. Making drunk the nations and polluting the planet with our sorceries. Because that's what it calls it. Pharmakia's, the name pharmakia in the original Greek has to do with sorcery, and it is literally the foundation word to what is the drug industry, right? Big pharma. So, yeah, it is a sorcery of sorts, because when it alters your consciousness, you're literally opening up portals to demonic powers. So that's why that's why a lot of different religious groups will take drugs, especially psychedelics, to open the pineal gland and or the spirit realm to have access to these demonic forces. So there you go. But anyways, I better get, I'll probably be back if something else breaks. And if it's not going to break, I'm sure it will be broken soon. If it's not breaking right now, it's going to be broken soon. So get ready. Hope you're all prepared. Prayerfully prepare yourself for impact. Prepare yourself or prepare for impact. Or as Dana would say, brace yourselves, because I think we're really close now for this. Slow motion train wreck is definitely going to start picking up speed now. You know, they always say it's really like slow motion when you get into a wreck, but then it happens and it's over really quick. All of a sudden, it's just like time speeds up as you get closer. So I think we're going to be seeing things happening really quickly now. So guys, God bless, and I will be making sure, and I'm going to go out there. I think I'm going to, and it's really hot right now, so I've been kind of doing other stuff to try to, that gate is getting closer. That gate is getting very close. I'll take video of it, and I'll post it on here for all the members. If you're a member, become a member of the channel. Become a member of the channel. Support what we're doing. Our work is very important, and you're helping to promote and to keep us on the front lines. So become a member, get on our Patreon page, or just hit that pledge button. We're definitely, didn't meet our full goal there. So if you want to help out and help us to get to the goal, we're really behind. We probably should add something to it now because we're a little bit more behind than we should be. But we're still trusting the Lord, and we know that He's going to come through for us. So God bless you, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great afternoon.